So, I welcome you all again into this session of Yoga Sutras in the light of Bhagavad Gita and Advaita Vedanta. So we have had two sessions where we had discussed about two Yoga Sutras and how Bhagavad Gita can help us through Karma Yoga, by which we can we can make this practice uh, we can make this practice very easy for us, so that it can be practiced all through our day. That this practice, is not confined only at a time when we have some free time when we practice, but in our day long, in all the works that we do, in all the all the actions that we we perform, we can practice this yoga. We can practice this pursuit into the self, by which our life becomes very enlightened, enriched. So today we talk about this Patanjali, this Ashtanga, that is the eight limbs that Patanjali has given to us, the eight limbs of yoga. So how does Bhagavad Gita helps us? How does Vedanta helps us in understanding these eight limbs? And how does these eight limbs, they help us in our journey towards infinite? So the first of them is Yama. Then it is Niyama. Then it is Asan. Then it is Asan. Then it's Pranayam, Pratyahar, Dharana, Dhyana, and Samadhi. So these are the eight limbs. So when we talk about the first one, Yama has 5 parts. The first one is Ahimsa. The next one is Asteya. The third one is Satya. The fourth one is, Brahmacharya. And the fifth is Aparigraha. So the first one, when we talk about the first among this Yama is called Ahimsa. So Ahimsa means non-violence. But this is not the non-violence which we know. It is not an external act. It's not an action. It starts from mind. Because though we do not perform any action for hurting others, but within our mind we do think about somebody's harm. So Ahimsa says that you should never harm others, even from your mind, from your words, and from your actions. So, we are all very conscious about our actions, that we should not perform any action, or we should not do any action in rage, which might create some kind of negative, impact in our image, in our social status. So we are very conscious about that. But we do not take care of that part where the mind is involved in harming others. Though I am not engaging myself into the act of harming others, but I may think about harming others. I may think, I may think bad about others. So Ahimsa, at the very first instance, it says that you should never think about harming others. You should never, say something which can harm others or hurt others, and you should not act in any way by which you will hurt others. So this ahimsa is one of the 27 divine qualities that we have. In the 16th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna have described about 27 divine qualities that we possess, about which we are not at all aware. And because we are not at all aware about these qualities that we possess and we carry since eternity, we perceive ourselves to be very weak. We perceive ourselves to be very, to be very downtrodden, to be very, not, we don't like ourselves because we don't know who we are and what kind of faculties, what kind of qualities we possess. So ahimsa is one of the 27 divine qualities we have. Now, why should we we perform ahimsa? Why ahimsa is so much needed in our spiritual life? Why ahimsa is so much needed? When we talk about spiritual life, it means that a life where I am always guarded. I'm always guarded. Like when we move in a road, when we are driving, so there are chances where we can meet an accident. And spirituality accepts this fact that this world is full of chaos. The world, Bhagavad Gita especially, it accepts this fact that this world is full of chaos. There is nothing called perfect. There will be chaos. There will be crimes. There will be hostilities. There will be aggressions against you. So Bhagavad Gita explains, accepts this. But how can I get through all this by not being affected by these? That is the essence of spirituality. Spirituality teaches me how to go through all these experiences while I should not be affected by any of this. Like every moment in our life, whenever we go into this world, we come across experiences which hurt us, which makes us very sad, which increases the negative qualities within us, the negativities within us. Why? Because we are affected by this world. So spirituality is a science by which it guards us not to get affected by anything which comes across, which you come across. So what it says that, what Bhagavad Gita says, matra sparshastu konteya shitoshna sukha dukhada agama paino anityam tam titikshasva bharata. It says, you experience happiness, you experience sadness. You think that this happiness and sadness are part of your life. You think that happiness and sadness is part of your existence. And because you think so, they affect you so much. But happiness and sadness, we don't know how this, how we experience happiness and sadness. We don't know this. So it says that, matra means scale. We have scale, we have instruments of measurements in our body. What are those instruments of measurements? We have 5 instruments of measurements. One is the eyes. The other is the ears, the nose, tongue, and skin. With our eyes, we can measure form. What is the form? How it is distinct, how it is different from others, who is this form, how much distance, how does it look like, everything that we can, perceive about a form, we do it with eyes. So eyes is one of the measuring instruments that we have. Then ears. With ears, we measure sound. So sound is another sound is another subject, another object of these senses, like eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and skin. These are the five senses. So these five senses also contains five sense objects. And and these five senses, they measure these five sense or objects. Like eyes measures the sense object of form. In the same way, our ears, they measure the sense object called sound. What is this sound? From where the sound is coming? How far? How near? Whose is this sound? Whether the sound is good or bad, whether it is ugly or beautiful, everything we can measure through our ears. So the ears is also a measuring instrument. Similarly, this nose, tongue, and skin, they are all these measuring instruments that we have. So it says, Matra sparshastu konteya. Matra means scale. When these measuring instruments that we have, that is our senses, when these measuring instruments comes in contact with the objects of these senses, when these measuring instruments comes in contact with the object of these senses, they create happiness or they create sorrow. In the same way, we experience heat and cold. Like now it is hot in Varanasi. So how do I know that it is hot? My skin is the one through which I can experience the heat. So like I experience heat and cold, in the same way, my senses, when they comes in contact with the sense objects, that is the only way by which I can experience happiness and sorrow. But when these emotions comes to us, either it is happy or it is sorrow, we think that they are all long lasting, they are permanent. When we are happy, we think that this is going to last forever, but it doesn't last. When we are sad, the same thing happens. We think that this sadness is also going to last forever. It's not going to end, and that is why we become very melancholy. We become very depressed. But here it says, Agama paino anityam. It says these emotions has got a origination, and because they have an origination, they are going to end. Because they have an origination, they are going to end, and because they are going to end, that is why they are not permanent. They are not eternal. So whether you are experiencing pain, sufferings, or you are experiencing happiness, you have to always know that this is impermanent. This is not going to stay. It's going to fluctuate. It's going to change, transform into the opposite, just like day and night. Like now it's night in India. It's dark. But this dark is the outcome of light. We had light, just a few hours ago, and now it's dark. But this darkness has not been brought by anybody. The light itself has transformed itself into darkness. And this darkness is also not going to stay forever. This darkness, it's growing. It's growing more dark. It's growing more dark. It's growing darker. And when it becomes the darkest, that is the time when the light appears. So the light is appearing in the crest of the deepest darkness. So here also, happiness happens in the crest of deepest sorrow. And the same thing happens, and vice versa. And sorrow also happens in the crest of happiness. So you need to be very aware about that. And because, these two are transitory, these two are not permanent, these two are not eternal, they are all like day and night. They will come and go. They will come and go like seasons. That is why the only thing that we need to do is to bear it. To bear it. Tang titikshasva bharata. Bhagavad Gita tells us to bear the happiness and bear the sorrow, knowing that this is impermanent. Now, what is called titiksha? Titiksha is a spiritual term. What is called titiksha? It says, like when we chant mantras, I don't know whether you chant mantras or not. Whenever you chant mantras, you might have observed that we say Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti. That is Om peace, and Om peace 3 times. Why do we chant this, why do we chant this peace for 3 times? Why not for 1 time? Om peace, and that's all. Why don't we do it? Why do we chant for 3 times? We chant it for 3 times because there are 3 kinds of sufferings that we have to undergo. The first suffering that we undergo is from destiny. It is called Adi Daivi. That is, I am friends with somebody. We are very great friends. We're great friends, and someday, suddenly he dies. He dies and leaves me alone, and I become very sad. So this death has occurred, which is not under my control. I'm running a shop, and the shop is running pretty well. I'm making very good business. Suddenly one day there is fire, and the shop is reduced to ashes. So that gives me pain. So this pain has not, I am not the cause of this pain. What is the cause of this pain? The cause of this pain is destiny. So the first kind of sufferings that we undergo is from destiny. The second one is from nature. Like we have earthquakes, we have floods, cyclones, super cyclones, we have drought. This comes to us from the nature. So there are sufferings also which comes from the nature. And there are the third kind of suffering, and that is called spiritual suffering. That is adhatmic. That is spiritual suffering. What is spiritual suffering? The suffering which are caused by my mind and my body. Like I am not well, I'm unwell, and that gives me sufferings. So this is spiritual sufferings. My mind is sad. My mind is sad. My mind is angry. My mind is angry. My mind is sad. So this also, this also gives spiritual sufferings. These are all spiritual sufferings. So there are 3 kinds of sufferings that we have. So here it says that when you have these 3 kinds of sufferings, don't try to get rid of them. Try to bear them. Try to go through them. It pains a lot. When you go through these sufferings, it pains a lot. But it says, Vedanta says that don't try to get rid of these sufferings. Go through these sufferings. Experience these sufferings. Why? Because as you experience these sufferings, you develop very deep power within you. You develop very, very strong power within you. This power is the power by which you can fight with your mind. Like I am angry, or I'm angry at somebody. I know that this is not good for me to be angry at somebody, but I cannot stop myself. I cannot stop myself to be angry, and I show my anger. I demonstrate my anger, and when I demonstrate my anger, the only person who suffers is me. It's not others who suffers. It's only me. But why is this suffering? It is the suffering because I don't have control over my mind. My mind is much more powerful than me, and because the mind is much more powerful than me, I cannot control it. Now, when I go through this kind of sufferings without trying to get rid of them, then it says that you have this intense energy within you. You discover a very intense energy within you, and when you discover this intense energy within you, this energy enables you to fight with your mind. This energy enables you to to put your mind into rest, and to make the mind sincere to you, make the mind obey you. And that is why, we need to be very, very, diligent while we are suffering. Now, why do we become angry? The first thing is, it says ahimsa. Ahimsa means harming somebody, not harming somebody from my mind, from my words, and from my actions. So, if I want to harm somebody, I should be angry at that person. If I know the reason of my anger, and if I know the way by which I can stop my anger, then I will never be, never have violence for others. Because, this fuel for being, violent is gone, because my anger is gone. And because my anger is gone, I become non-violent. Now, if I know why do I get angry, then I can stop, being angry. And if I can stop being angry, I will say, I will never have, violence for others. I will never, want to harm others. So here Bhagavad Gita says that dhayato vishayan pungsha sangasteshu pajayate sangyat sanjayate kama kamat krodho vijayate. It says that, when we dwell into this world, everybody of us, we dwell into this world, but we are unaware that the senses that we have, our eyes, our ears, our nose, our tongue, and our skin, these senses are receiving each and everything which we are coming across. Now, I am going to my office. I'm going to my job. In the way to my job, I meet a lot of people. I see a lot of people. I see a lot of shops. I see a lot of things. But when you go to your job, when you reach your office and try to recollect the people that you have met, the people that you have seen, you will see that you can't recollect, you can recollect maximum of them. Maybe one or two you can recollect. That also, there's no guarantee that you can recollect them. You will see that you have completely forgotten each and every faces that you have seen. You have completely forgotten each and every things that you have, seen within the way to your job. Now, why is this? This is because my mind was not there. I was thinking about something else. And because I was thinking about something else, though I have come across these things, I did not notice. But though I have not noticed, I have my eyes, I have my ears, I have my nose, I have my tongue, and I have my skin. They are the one which receives everything without my notice, without my being aware about that. And when they receive it, what do? They just, transfer it into my mind. So each and every day, I am being loaded with stuff which I don't need, which I don't intend to receive. But each and every day, without my being aware, without my consciousness, I am receiving tons and tons of information, tons and tons of objects, and everything is going and getting stored into my memory, into my subconscious mind, into a thing called antakarana. I don't know whether you have come across this word while when taking the classes for Yoga Sutras. Antakarana means the mixture of mind, intellect, chitta, antakarana, chitta and ego. So these four, mind, intellect, chitta means the mind stuff, from where the mind is created, from where this, everything, every experience that we have in our life, they're all stored. They're all stored. And ego is the one which is, which always uh, uh, which always demands its existence. I am here, I am here. Which always, tries to control everything. Which always tries to make, which always tries to, pose as if it is the authority, it is the sole authority. So that is called, ego. So that is called antakarana. So whatever we are receiving, whatever informations we are receiving, all these informations are going and getting stored in this antakarana. And what happens there? These are all information. These are all informations of objects. These are all trees, buildings, cars, human beings. Whatever I see in the street, whatever I see anywhere, they're all going and getting deposited in my antakarana. What happens then? Like I start from my house, I go to the supermarket to buy vegetables. I go to the supermarket to buy vegetables, and when I come back, I not only bring vegetables with me, I bring loads and loads of information with me, which I have gathered, which I've gathered unwantedly, unnoticed and unconsciously and unwantedly. I've gathered it. Now, what to do? What does these informations? What does these objects, which has come and gotten deposited in our antakarana do to us? Now, when I go to my job, I see many houses, I see many cars, which I have forgotten, but they are all there. Now, what they're there in my antakarana in a subtle form. Probably there is a car which is a very expensive car, which is there in my antakarana. It's in a subtle form. There are many people which I've seen, which I've forgotten, but they are there in my antakarana in the subtle form. Now, what happens then? These informations, these objects, they goes and gets mixed with consciousness in our antakarana. They mix with consciousness, and when they mix with consciousness in the subconscious mind, we become aware about those things. In the subconscious mind itself, we become aware about those things, and we also become aware that we don't possess these things. This is also within our awareness. So when we become aware that I don't possess this very expensive car that I've seen today in the street, when I become aware about that in my subconscious mind, then a desire comes to gain that, to earn that, to possess that. So the desire is formed. Desire is formed. And in this way, every day, in every moment, my mind is creating millions and millions of desires in the subconscious mind. It's like, seeds which are just sown in the ground. Slowly they become saplings. Slowly they become plants, and then they become tree. And when they become tree, then they come to our notice. But when they come to our notice as a thought, as a very concrete thought, then they are so strong that we cannot get rid of them. These small saplings have become a very big tree at that time. And because it has become a very big tree, there is no way that we can get rid of them. And then, we have to follow that. And we follow, and that is called this desire. These trees, these trees are called these desires. We start to have these desires. If you look at your mind, you will see, there are thousands and thousands of desires all the time. If you try to recollect how many thoughts you had yesterday, you will see you can only recollect 5 or 6 of them. But in reality, till you are awake, you have always been through, thousands of thoughts. You've been through thoughts all the time. But when you try to recollect, if you try to recollect what are the thoughts that I had that I had in my day yesterday, you will see that probably you are going to recollect 4 or 5 thoughts. That's all. So this huge chunk of thoughts that are coming across in my mind is going unnoticed. They are like the small trees. They're like the small saplings. They're like the small plants, which are not so big that they come to our notice. But because they don't come to our notice, it does not mean that they will never come to our notice. They're growing all the time, slowly, with time, they're growing. And, in this way, we have like, forest and forest in our mind. So, desires are formed. And if you look at your thoughts, the pattern of your thoughts, you will see each and every thought that your mind produces are all desires. All desires. A desire comes and you run after that desire. That desire, after which you are running, after some time, it changes its direction. It changes its dimension. It changes its color. It changes its shape. And then you run after that. And then again it changes, and then you run after that. In this way, we run and run and run, but we don't come, we are not able to meet one desire in our life. The only thing that we do is just keep running and running and running. One desire comes, we run after them, then another desire, then we run after. In this way, desires are never fulfilled. We run after desires, but no desires are fulfilled at all. And because no desires are fulfilled, what happens? We become angry. It gives rise to anger. So anger comes when our desires are not fulfilled. And this is the anger which acts as a fuel for all the negativity that we have. All the negativity towards ourselves, negativity towards others, aggression towards ourselves, aggression towards others. This anger gives fuel. If we don't have anger, then what happens? Then we will see that there is no fuel for this rage. There's no fuel for this aggression. There's no fuel for this negativity, for harming others. And thus we become tranquil, we become calm. So Bhagavad Gita says that the only way by which you can become peaceful is when you become aware about this, that you are getting attached to each and everything. When you start to disbelieve your mind, distrust your mind, when you start to distrust your mind, because it is the mind which is the reason of this attachment. Because I have huge trust in my mind. I think that I am this mind. I think that I am this mind, and I have this huge trust in my mind. When you start to have, when you start to develop distrust about your mind, and you just start to trust yourself. You are not your mind. When I say my mind, it means that this mind is not me. This mind belongs to me. It's not me. So because it's not me, it's not integral part of my existence. But I always perceive this mind to be an integral and essential part of my existence, and that is the place where I do this, I do this wrong. So when I start to distrust my mind and trust my own intuitions, trust my own self, trust my heart, trust myself, that is the moment when I will see that I have started to, feel comfortable with myself. And the more I start to feel comfortable with myself, the more I become, easy, the more I become calm, I become quiet, I become tranquil. And the more I become tranquil, that is the only way by which I can get rid of all kind of, this rage, all kinds of violence in my mind, and I become completely non-violent. So, the first thing which the Yama says is non-violence. And non-violence can only happen when you stop trusting your mind, following your mind. Try to create a difference. Try to create a distance from your mind. If possible, try to observe your mind from a distance. As you start to observe your mind from a distance, you will see, this mind is gone. This mind is gone, and there's a space which is created within. There's a huge space. There's a huge space within. And you can feel that space. You can feel that space. And that space, through that space, you can feel peace. You can feel, bliss, happiness, joy. Just if you can, observe your mind. So this is the first one, ahimsa. Then asteya. Asteya means, asteya means this tendency of stealing. We are greedy, we are greedy. We have greed within us, and because we have greed within us, we have this tendency of stealing. We don't steal because there is laws which punishes us from stealing. If there were no laws which punishes us from stealing, you would have seen each and every person in this planet would be a robber, would be a robber. So this is a very natural tendency within us to steal. So, the second, point of Yama is asteya, that not having this tendency to steal. When do a person steal? When he becomes greedy about something. So this not being greedy also is a part of divine qualities. Not being greedy, that it's called, bhuteshu aloluptam. He's not greedy about anything, anywhere in this world, about anything in this world. He's not greedy at all. He's free from that. How can I become free from greed? How can I become free from greed? The only way by which I can become free from greed is just to understand the purpose of my life. What is the purpose of my life? What is the goal of my life? What is the goal of my life? The goal of my life is, according to Vedanta, according to Yoga Sutras, is this, that, yoga chitta vritti nirodha. That is the goal of life. To attain the state of yoga, to attain the state of oneness with the divine. That is our purpose of life. That is our goal of life. So if I can always keep this in my mind, that my job, while I come to this world, is to realize who I am. My job is to get united with the divine, is to get mixed with the divine, to know the divine. What is the divine? What is that truth? Is this the truth, what I see in front of me? This phenomenal world, what I see in front of me, is this the only truth, or there is something other truth? There's something other which is beyond this, which is in the background. So if I have this, tendency of such seeking the truth, where is the truth? Which is the truth? And while I seek the truth, then I come to this, face to face with this fact that the only truth, or the only goal of life is to know the truth, and that truth is me. I am that truth. I am that truth. So when I am that truth, the only value which carries in my life is to know myself, not to attain something else in this world. So when I'm free from this, hankering of objects of this world, then I'm free from all this this greed. So Bhagavad Gita says, Yogastha kuru karmani sangam tektva dhananjaya siddha siddho samo bhutva samatvam yoga uchyate. Krishna defines yoga. What is yoga? What is yoga? He says, Yogastha kuru karmani. While you are performing any action, always try to perform action by being united with your own self, by being in your own self, by being aware who you are. Now, when we say who you are, we name ourselves. We say that my name is this, my name is that. This is my name. This is a name which has been given to me. It's not me. It's not my nature. It's not my, it's not who I am. It's a name that has been given to me. But who I am beyond this name, I don't know. It says, you are the self. You are the consciousness. The consciousness which you use to work, the consciousness which you use to know, the consciousness by which you are alive in this world. You are that consciousness. So Yogastha Kuru Karmani means when I remain one with that consciousness. How to remain one with this consciousness? To have this perception that I am that consciousness. I am not the body. I am not the mind. I am not the thoughts that I see. I am not the feelings. I am not the experience. I am not this world. I am not the name. I am not the form. I am not this. What am I? I am that consciousness. If I can have this very firm perception, very firm conviction that I am the self, I am the consciousness, I am the consciousness, then I remain attached to the self. And this being aware, this being diligent that I am the self, makes me realize that I am the self. And when I realize this, then I don't need to remember it at all, because then I become that self. Now I am a non-self. Why? Because I have the perception that I am a name, I am a form, I am this body. Because my perception about this body is so true. It's so true. And that is the reason why I am a non-self. I'm a non-self. I'm a body. I'm a name. I'm a matter. I'm mind. I'm intellect. I'm an ego. These are all matter. These are all nature. But this is not me. I am beyond this. I'm beyond this. The moment I will have this firm conviction that I am the self, I am the consciousness, that is the only way by which I will see that I have become one with myself. And Krishna says that Yogastha Kuru Karmani, whatever work you do, know that you are the self, you are not the worker, you are not the doer. Whenever we are performing any action, we think that I am the doer. I am not the doer. I am the one from which the doer is being given energy. The doer is being given substance by which he does. I am the consciousness. I am the substratum. I am the consciousness. I am the substratum. I am that which gives energy to the doer by which he performs action. I am not the doer. So Yogastha Kuru Karmani. Always remember that you are not the doer, that you are the self. And then Sangam Tektva Dhananjaya. Sangam means attachment. Okay. Sangam means attachment. Attachment means when I do not have attachment with my mind. We have already discussed about this. If we can keep a separation from our mind, that is being unattached from the mind. So here it says, try to remain unattached from your mind, from your ego. from this I, this me and mine stuff, me and mine, anything which says me, and mine, try to remain separate from that. Try to remain free from that. Know that this is not you. Know that this is not you. And by knowing that this is not you, just keep away from that. So yogastha kuru karmani, sangam tektva dhananjaya. Try to remain unattached from the mind. Try to remain unattached from the ego. And if you can do that, then the third thing comes, siddha siddho samo bhutva. Whenever we are performing any action, then there are two obvious results. One is either there will be success or there will be failure. When there is success, we become very happy. We become attached to that. We want it more. And when we meet with failure, we become very, it's very horrible for us. We run away from that. We cannot accept that. Krishna says that, siddha siddho samo bhutva. Try to treat success and failure to be the same. Success and failure to be the same. When you can treat success and failure to be the same, profit and loss to be the same, victory and defeat to be the same, happiness and sorrow to be the same, this sameness, samatvam yoga uchyate, this sameness is called yoga. Yoga which has been made so simple. So if we can practice it in our life, it's very, easy to practice in our life. We have to just remember this. If we can practice this in our life, in our day-to-day life, we will see that we have gotten rid of all this, all these bad behaviors, stealing and everything. And, we are becoming more and more close to the divine. And as we become more and more close to the divine, we start to feel the divine. We start to become the divine. Spirituality is all about being and becoming. So as Yuri has pointed out, that we have just 11 minutes, but probably we have just 5 minutes now. So if you have any question, you can ask me. So we are going to discuss about the rest of this, in our next session. I hope this helps you in any way.
Thank you, Swamiji. As always, a very powerful session, and just the way you say the teachings, it just penetrates right into the mind and stays there until later on we encounter something, and then we just remember these teachings, and then it makes sense, even if right now we're just receiving it. So, thank you. So, if anybody has a question, please unmute yourself and ask.
I have a comment. This is Cherie. I feel like the concept of treating success and failure as the same is a difficult one. And I wonder what you can suggest in terms of ways of doing that, how we can do that.
Thank you. Yeah, initially it's very difficult because we are all running after things that we like. There are two things, likings and dislikings. So, the things that we like, we have special, attraction towards that. And the things that we don't like, we have, disregard, we have repulsion. So this is our habit. This is our habit, and this has come for a long time. It's not from this life, only. You had earlier lives also. In all those lives, we have been following the same traits. So this is very normal. Now you have to change it. You have to come, you have to get rid of this idea of liking and disliking. There is nothing called liking and there is nothing called disliking. The things that you dislike, try to look at them very, very, very closely. the people that you hate, the people that you don't like, try to look at them, look at their lives. You will see there are some very beautiful things also in them. Then you will see that your perception towards them, towards that, has changed. Like whenever we think about sorrow, whenever we think about defeat, whenever we think about loss, it brings like kind of a shock to us. We don't want to face that. But when you are defeated, every time you cannot win. Sometimes you have to lose. So when you're defeated, when you lose, when you're at loss, try to look at your mind. Try to look at the whole scenario, Not only that, because we are only focused on that we have lost. That we have, the only thing that matters to us is that point, that the thing that we have lost. Just try to see the whole scenario, everything. You will see the scenario is not that bad that we thought. It's good in one way. You can see many good things. You can see many avenues. You can see many areas through which you can develop and through which you can explore. Like Bhagavad Gita starts from this point. When, this Arjuna, the disciple, he became very, very sad, very, very melancholic. And then, Krishna, his guru, he said, Arjun, try to expand your heart. Shudra Hridaya Daurbalyam Takta Tishta Parantapa. Try to release this. Try to release this small-heartedness, narrow-heartedness. Try to release yourself from this narrow-heartedness, only to see your own interest. Wherever there is my own interest, I am just, I'm just confined into that. I cannot see the whole picture. When you are at loss, when things are not going according to the way you would like to go, when things are completely reversed, you are in adversity, try to look at the whole picture, the whole universe. You will see it's not that bad. Then you will realize, and again at the same time, when you are, when you succeed, when you profit, when you gain, when you're victorious, then also when you see the whole scenario, you will see in that there is loss also. Everything is not gain. There is loss also. So ultimately, this profit and loss, though we make a distinction about this, is the same. When you lose something, you gain something. And when you gain something, you lose something else. And the balance is always the same. Because we are very inclined to, to gaining, to those objects, that makes the difference. That makes the difference. That makes us completely, inclined to the results, whether it's happy or it's sorrow. That's it. But if you can see the whole scenario, you will see in happiness there is also, shades of sorrow. In sorrow, there is also shades of happiness. Many times in my life, when I have lost, many times in my life, when I have, when I have lost, I was sad, I have found the greatest happiness, the greatest accomplishments. I found, when it was the darkest point of my life, in that darkest point, I have found light. I myself, I have found light. So I can assure you that if we can look at things, not from our own perspective, but from the, from the whole, as a whole, you will see there is nothing called likings and dislikings. There is nothing called good and bad. There is nothing called happiness and sorrow. There is nothing called profit and loss. There is nothing called victory and in defeat. There is nothing called virtue and vice also. Everything is the same. Everything is the same. And when you reach this sameness, then you reach yoga. This yoga that we talk about, union with God, samadhi.
Thank you.
Try to practice it. Try to practice. It was not easy for me also, but slowly, gradually, with practice, I found a very proper total balance. Whole universe is at balance. Which we say that there are people who are very prosperous. We say this. This is our perception. But have you seen the life of those who are millionaires? Have you been into their life of those? You will see so darkness within them. You will see so much sadness, so much fear. A person who is a pavement dweller is better. His quality of life is much more better than the person who is living in a castle. I've seen this. A person who is a beggar, who is living in a pavement, who sleeps in the street, he's much more happy. He can sleep. He doesn't have any fear. He can sleep all his night. But a person who lives in a multi-story building, having huge money, having huge prosperity, that person cannot sleep. That person cannot eat. That person cannot go out without guards, without security. He's always scared. So the quality of life is shattered. So there is nothing called gain. There's nothing called loss. Everything is the same. The moment you realize this, you find life so interesting, so beautiful, so beautiful. You don't have any complaints. You don't have any complaints from life, from yourself, from others. And that is being at peace. That is being, at peace, at calmness, at tranquility. Thank you.
Thank you.
So today we stop here, and hopefully we are going to meet next Tuesday. Until then, and if possible, because I'm generally I interact with people who are spiritual aspirants and who wants to know Vedanta. This is something new for me also. If you'd like to, give me some, feedback how these sessions helps you, that would help me a lot, in serving you better. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Yuri.